everybody, welcome to This Old Arcade. I'm Ricardo, and today, this episode, we are going back in time, back to 1985, where we're here at Gilbert, Arizona, at one of our underground arcades called Captain Cutaneum. You know, this is what I'm talking about. These games, this is what I love. You don't see these games anymore. These games, I'm telling you, is the best. You don't find these games anymore. You'll only find them in, people's homes or at underground places. So I'd like to show you some of these arcades and give an interview for the owner of the place. So join us.
Do you know how to correctly hook up your JAMA harness? Do you know how to set up your dip switches? Have you ever used a multimeter? What is the correct sync for your RGB connection? Subscribe to This Old Arcade and find out. I'll be waiting.
So, what do you think of these arcades, Okay. Yeah, I don't think he's a talkative type. I think he just wants to keep playing games. So.
It's game, Caleb. My nephew. This is my nephew Corbin. This is my nephew Caleb. Yay for the camera. All right. So Captain Cutaneum, he is a skin protection dermatologist superhero. Due to forces that are not under his control, he's been thrust into this environment. So he's stuck in this 1985 arcade. That's going to be featured in Captain Cutaneum issue number 5. This is issue 4. Let's take a look at Captain Cutaneum's arcade. It is 1985 in here. Outside, it's 2014, this year. Here, it stays 1985.
Well, I definitely would like to thank you for letting us come over here back in time with you.
Oh, you bet, you bet. Welcome, welcome. All right, first stop is Anteater. I don't know if you got any video of Anteater. Anteater is a conversion game. There were no original dedicated Anteater machines. This is a Texas company, Tago, that said, hey, for a few $100 you can convert your scramble cabinet into an Anteater. Still remains one of the least popular games around, but it's actually a cool game. We'll show it to you later. Come on over here. Oh, mine. This is Moto. Moto actually won a millipede cabinet one of the opening nights that we were here by getting the high score on Centipede. It wasn't much of a millipede cabinet, but this man can game, and he can knock out Spy Hunter. He is our Spy Hunter bro extraordinaire.
All right. So how you been liking this place?
Oh, this is great. I mean, it takes me back to when I was a kid and I could go to an arcade. And it's like a true arcade, you bring your quarters and you play. It's not $5 at the door or some ridiculous thing like that. So.
Exactly. It's not like these other places that they're actually getting rid of these games. They only have redemption games only.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the best thing is these are all 1985 and older games.
Definitely.
All the games I grew up with.
So tell us a little bit about this Tempest.
Every collector that comes through here wants to offer an offer for the cocktail Tempest. There's just something about Tempest. Tempest never actually was a favorite of mine back in the 80s. I didn't think it had much personality. Meanwhile, this is a guy's game. And when I say guy's game, a stoner guy's game. If you listen to Led Zeppelin and Metallica together at the same time back in the early 80s, the Tempest was your game. Everybody digs the cocktail version of this.
This is the.
I have never seen a cocktail Tempest. Never. That's got to be pretty. They probably didn't make very many.
This one's a lot of fun for me. This is a Galaxy cocktail. You don't think it's that big of a deal until you realize, wait a minute, this one has a black market board from the late 1970s. It plays 3 additional games in addition to the original Galaxian. A couple of them are just variations on the same theme. Same bad guys come down, but in different patterns. And then the 4th game is just a crazy game. And so it doesn't look like a multicade, but it's kind of an illegal multicade from back in the day.
Back in the day,
Imagine those who designed it are dead now.
Yeah, we call those parallel boards, the ones that came out of Japan or Taiwan mostly.
Speaking of which, this is a
16 one, right?
no. This is a Space Invaders knockoff.
Oh, okay.
That in English we call it Solar Creatures. Almost certainly it has. It actually has Japanese symbols on here, and so almost certainly an export from Japan. What's a lot of fun with this one, by the way, the game, of course, is Space Invaders. A lot of fun here is when the flying saucer passes overhead, he literally does start dropping off new aliens, which is a very cool feature, and it makes a lot of sense because everyone plays Space Invaders and they go, what's with the bonus ship that flies over? Here, the bonus ship actually is depositing Space Invaders, which is very cool. One of our favorites over here. Excuse us, guys. We've got another game. We've got a Cups and Coins game going on top of our knockoff Mirko Challenge. If you look real closely, the name of the game is Challenge, made by the Mirko Games Incorporated company here in Phoenix, Arizona. This is a local Pong knockoff from 1974. And if you play it, you say, wow, this is Pong. But while Atari started Pong in 1972, this Phoenix group said, oh, let's make a few minor modifications. Let's call it our own name and let's run with it. This is a personal favorite, and the kids love this one. What else is an intriguing game today?
I gotta know about Star Trek.
Star Trek is one of these that when a buddy of mine who owns a really nice personal arcade, buddy of mine puts this up for sale, and other buddies say, you must own this machine. And I say, it's kind of expensive and I'm not really into Star Trek. And one buddy says, you don't understand, I've been looking for this game for a decade. I'll buy it from you when I can save up enough money. And he's a really good pal of mine, and so went ahead and got it. It's actually one of the favorites. But it's not the big breadwinner here tonight.
Why do I have a feeling that I know which one you're gonna show me? Oh no, okay, Gauntlet.
All right, we've got Atari's Gauntlet 1985. This is kind of a sad moment in video game history. This is the year that Atari figures out the money isn't just in putting a quarter into the machine and doing the best that you can with the quarter. The money, of course, is in continuing to pour the quarters in. And ironically, 29 years later, the same thing happens. At the end of the night, this game will have twice the quarters of any other machine.
Yeah, this actually, you're putting the quarters and you got your light keeps dropping and dropping.
Keeps going. There's no end.
Points, yeah.
In fact, funny story, a couple of weeks ago, there's some college-age guys in here playing all night, kept asking me for more and more quarters all night, and near the end of the night, when it's about closing time, they say, hey, at what level does this end? And I say, no, it's an Atari game. It's designed to never end. They said, really? And Wolfman, my buddy who you met, Wolfman actually looks it up for them. Sorry guys, says right here, there is no end to the levels, and within a few minutes, they were all gone. Without that sense of achievement at the end, they wanted that little brass ring at the end. Ain't no brass ring with Gauntlet.
Right. Yeah, you don't find them like this. You know, you don't like the games back in the day. There's an ending, but
Correct.
now.
Well, starting in the mid-'80s, games started scrolling from left to right, and hey, let's keep putting quarters in and see what happens. And so think of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and The Simpsons, classic left to right scrollers that never end, or if they do end, it's many, many quarters down the way. If you notice here, we got good audio?
Yeah.
If you notice, the emphasis with Arcade 85 is quite the opposite. We throw one in at the very end, but nothing else was around in 1985 that has that scrolling theme. The other thing that we like to emphasize, by the way, is, as you know, a lot of games are maimed. In other words, you can have a cabinet that has thousands of different games. Meanwhile, the button configuration can be rather elaborate. And so, for example, I really dig on games such as Crossbow. My friend Dan here knocking it out with Crossbow. Ain't no MAME gonna make any Crossbow worth a darn. Of course, we've got Spy Hunter, we've got driving games with steering wheels, and one of my personal favorites. Let's show you another game that cannot be maimed worth a darn. Oh baby, Kickman. Kickman goes by different names. This is a Bally Midway product that wasn't terribly successful, even though it does feature the little dudes from Pac-Man sometimes. They're trying to ride on the coattails of Pac-Man. But if you look closely, this actually has a roller ball that's polar. You've got a pole at the north and at the south, so it only goes left or right. So even if you have a main machine that has a roller ball, it's going to have a Centipede Missile Command style roller ball, whereas this is bipolar. Right. Meanwhile, even a simple game like Punch-Out, you've got Super Punch-Out and you've got regular Punch-Out. You can maim this to a certain degree until, boom, it's time to hit that Punch-Out, that knockout blow. Boom! Doesn't feel the same on a maim.
Exactly, yeah.
Let's see, oh, and then Zaxxon, ironically with Zaxxon, you've got a trigger and then you've also got a fire button. And as my teenage son points out, who in the world is pressing the fire button when you've got a trigger there? Come on, man, you got a trigger. Right. Don't press the fire button.
Exactly, I understand that. You know, I saw one of the games over here. You got yourself Missile Command over here at the end.
Yeah, this one's fun.
So how did, can you tell me a little bit about this one?
We call this a cabaret cabinet, and cabaret is a lot of fun. If you look at the side of the cabinet, it's designed to be low key. In other words, you can put this in a classier environment. It doesn't have the obnoxious side art of so many of the games of its era. Side art, of course, being an attractor. Hey, let's bring people to play this fun game. Whereas this is, shh, we've got a fun game here, but we're going to put this in a restaurant. We're going to put this somewhere where it's not going to detract from the ambiance of wherever we've put it. Does that make sense? And so you can almost kind of play it in secret. Where, what's a good game with side art? Okay, Sega Turbo. This is obnoxious side art. That is, wow. Must be a heck of a race car game.
Doug, you know, you can't beat the...
Got some serious side art on some of these.
Definitely.
Very nice. Let's see, do we have anything else? It's, oh, this one's fun.
Yeah, as I was explaining about this one, there were two versions of it.
Well, yes, and unfortunately this one is not as cool as the original. So the story here is it was originally called Jungle King, and it featured Tarzan. And Tarzan, at the beginning, you put your quarter in, oh, and he do his little Tarzan chant. And sure enough, the licensing for Tarzan, the group that owned the rights to Tarzan, they actually weren't contacted by the video game maker. And so Tarzan people got a little bit irate that their man Tarzan was being featured on a video game and they weren't getting paid. The thing literally goes to court, and unfortunately Taito then has to re-release the game under the term Jungle Hunt, where our explorer is a pith helmet wearing explorer, not nearly as cool as Tarzan. I would love to get a hold of Jungle King. And I have kind of a network of people that bring me games, and I'm sure at some point someone's gonna bring me a Jungle King. It's still the original game, or I should say the object is the same, and you're still jumping over the same boulders and whatnot. But as a teenager myself, when it converted over to the pith helmeted Jungle Hunt hero, I must admit I didn't put many quarters into it anymore, and wondered at the time why on earth did they change this game. Personally, I also wondered at the time why Galaxian turned into Galaga. That one never made any sense to me. I always liked the original Galaxian, but put me on the list of the 2% that dig Galaxian over the 98% that dig on Galaga. Sorry, folks.
Right. Speed Buggy. Tell me a little about Speed Buggy over here. Because this actually is one of my childhood favorite games.
Unfortunately, Speed Buggy represents, in Captain Cutaneum's Arcade 85, Speed Buggy represents something of an anachronism, which is the game is actually licensed from 1986. What happens, though, is we're in 1985, and some arcades have a little bit of an advantage where they're able to sample those prototype games that come out directly from the factory, and that's what we have here is a brand spanking new, not even out yet game, but that's the caliber of games that we have here at Captain Cutaneum's Arcade 85.
Cool. And I see you have a couple of those.
It's crazy, by the way. The rules here, trying to get the right flags at the right time.
Oh, yeah.
They're all over the place.
The art, that's the only thing that I love about it, is the art of the game itself.
Oh.
Sinstar.
I hunger, coward.
This one I mentioned that this is an early optical joystick. It's kind of the forerunner to the NFL Blitz joystick. Really cool game.
In the early 80s when I was a teenager, I thought this game was possessed. I said, wow, that is one demonic bad guy. And I was intrigued by how personalized they had created him. Usually a bad guy is somebody in the shadows that you don't get to know. Whereas this guy will shout at you when he is ready to go. He will call you a coward and he will call you out and he will accuse you of running from him. And he's just telling me that where he lives. So let's see if we can get some more, oh, there he is. Oh, and watch, he's gonna crunch me in his mouth. Check it out. Beware, I live. Okay, beware. I'm gonna kick tail here. Gotta get a few of these little specks. What do they call those things? Okay, here goes. You and me, Sinistar. Come on, baby. Come on. You and me. Let's have it out right now. Ha! Take that. Demonic, evil, personalized bad guy. Yes, but this one's tough. There he is. How are you, buddy? Did you say hi earlier and I didn't see you?
No, you were busy.
Okay. I'm glad you came. Looks a little different this time of night, huh?
This is my son.
Hey, buddy. What's your name? I'm sorry? Xander. Excellent name. Boom, 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 boom.
He's got your high score over there on Dig Dug now.
Excellent work, because you've got one. I hear you have one. Very cool.
So this is it. I gotta tell you, I love this place. And you know, this place is only open once in a while, once a month, sometimes a couple of months. Sometimes he comes out without, he'll let us know. But whenever that portal opens, it's gonna be open. So I'm here. I'm loving it. I really don't want to go back to 2014. So, well, anyways, thank you so much for watching here at This Old Arcade. I'm Ricardo. We'll see you next time. I'm going to play some more games over here.